Hello everyone, this is John from Western Maine Defensive Tactics. Today I want to talk about your primary rifle. And in my opinion, your primary rifle should be a military pattern, box-fed, detachable box-fed, semi-automatic 30 caliber rifle. And there's a variety of reasons for that, and I'm going to get into the pros and the cons of it, the upsides and the downsides. First of all, let's talk semi-automatic. If it is even remotely legal for you to do so, that's what you should have. And not because you want to spray and pray things, right, Zeus? Zeus is pretty relaxed right now. Not because you believe in spray and pray, but because basically how I treat this rifle is a 20-round self-loading bolt-action rifle. It's not quite as accurate as a bolt-action rifle, but that's the kind of precision I like to shoot it at, because I can put out more rounds more accurately, faster. I get to stay on my sight picture rather than work the bolt and reestablish the sight picture. I can stay there behind the stock doing what I need to do. Why I think it should be a military pattern weapon rather than a, let's say, a hunting weapon is because military pattern weapons are generally designed to be easy to field strip with no tools. They're very rugged, they stand up to heat, and they'll stand up to prolonged use, lots and lots of rounds. In my experience and my experiments early on in life, I found that many sporting weapons weren't quite up to that challenge. Some would do okay, some would start to fail, especially when they get pretty hot. And just in case you're curious, I've got my cheat sheet here, just in case I forget anything. And that's also why you carry more than one knife. Box mag fed. Box mags give you the ability to stay in a fight longer than a fixed mag, than a tube, like a lever action or something like that, or some sort of stripper clip operation. Now, those systems can be very efficient. They can work for you if you don't have another choice, or if you're caught with a rifle that is not your first choice, or like it's a backup weapon, or not your primary. And we'll talk about those in another video, because I don't think the lever action or the bolt action or any other alternate action is dead compared to the semi-automatic. I think they all have their uses. All right, where are we at? 30 caliber. Here's where the rub is going to come with a lot of people. The world has been basically taken over by the 223 or 5.56 caliber rifle, and they are good rifles. I'm not going to say they're not. The AR-15 has become the dominant platform in at least in America, if not everywhere else, primarily for civilians. I don't dislike the AR. I think it's a good rifle. I was trained on the M16A2 in the Marine Corps, and I still prefer the 30 calibers. I don't currently own an AR. When I started getting into the FNs, I shot those exclusively, and my AR just sat in the closet and sat there, so I sold it. Do I kind of wish I'd kept it? Yeah, maybe, but this does everything I need to do. And when I want a lighter or more handy rifle, I generally pick up a lever action because it's slimmer and lighter than even an AR. That's just how I feel about it. And when it comes down to civilian use, we as civilians now don't have all the backup, the crew serve weapons, the artillery, the machine guns, the explosives that military troops have who run the 223 or the 5.56. We're going to have to do it all the older fashioned way with 30 caliber rifle power and marksmanship, things like that. I think overall the 30 caliber semi-automatic military pattern weapon is the best option, the most practical option for the common man to be able to afford to buy, afford to shoot and train with, and afford to maintain over just about anything else. I'm not saying that you couldn't do the same thing with a 5.56. You can, but you do give up the range, some of the power, some of the ability to penetrate barriers, i.e. turn cover into concealment, which this is why I like the 30 caliber. The 223 will do it to some distances. The 7.62 x 39 will do it to some distances. This will do it quite a ways out. It hits hard, does the job. Now let's talk about the downsides. The downsides are just about the same as the upside. With the 308 or the 30 calibers, you get more range, you get more power. you get more ability to penetrate cover. You also get more expense, more bulk, and more weight. And that's what it is. Well, people harp about weight, and I do too. I like lightweight equipment, but if I'm going to complain that this rifle weighs 9 pounds loaded or 9.5 pounds loaded, look at me. You think I could stand to lose a few pounds? And if I'm going to trim weight off something, shouldn't I start with me first? Just saying. Also something that every time I second guess myself, every time I sit down and think about it, happens once every 5 or 6 years, and I say, gee, should I stick with the FN? Should I stick with the fall? Or should I go with the rest of the world and get a 223? Or go with an AR-10 platform? Because I like the 308, but this is a bit dated. I stop and I start working with this again, and I appreciate what this rifle is. And basically, if I was to do this again, I pick a 308, hands-free device. Pick a 308 again today. Would I go with the FN? Probably not. I would probably go with one of the AR-10s. But at the time I chose this, the AR-10 would appear on the market and then disappear. Appear on the market and then disappear. And it was very expensive, wasn't 100% reliable, and the magazines were expensive. These are combat-proven designs. The parts were cheap, the rifles themselves were cheap, the receivers were cheap. They were available, and ammunition at the time was cheap. I would probably go with an AR-10 design today and maybe save a pound. But a lot of the AR-10 designs I've seen, the balance is not nearly as good as this rifle. It doesn't feel right in my hands, though I'm prejudiced because I've been handling this rifle for a couple of decades now. But it just doesn't feel like home to me. The balance is off. So I'm going to stick with this because it's what I know. I already have it. I'm already deeply logistically involved. If you're not, take a look at those AR-10s, like the Smith & Wesson MP10. I've heard good things about. I would probably go with the current Wyndham Weaponry MP10, the current Wyndham Weaponry AR-10, because they're made in my state, and if things happen, I can just roll right down there and get parts, magazines, whatever. All right. Another word on weight. Well, if you're aware of things happening globally, we have soldiers in theater carrying weapons a hell of a lot heavier than this. Granted, they're younger than I am, but I don't know what a saw weighs, but it's a hell of a lot heavier than this. An M60, they're heavy. I swear that I guarantee the designated marksmanship rifles they have are probably heavier than this. And even if we're not even going to talk about our military, unfortunately there's child soldiers in Africa and other places humping weapons like this, or AKs, that are a larger proportion of their body weight than I am, or this rifle is to me. So just bear that in mind. Does it take some conditioning? Yeah, that's why Zeus and I are out here today. We're out here hiking with our gear, getting in a little bit better shape. And also realize there's a difference in being in shape for the gym, for exercise, and for doing stuff like this. It's a little bit different. I recommend you're in shape for both, but at the same time, if I could choose one thing, it would be out in the woods hiking, and some free weights thrown in there too. All right. On rifles in general, one more thing on weight. I've seen quite a few ARs that are heavier than this because of all the crap straps to them. Notice I don't have a whole lot on this. I've got a red dot, a scope mount, and this little bag with a few items in it we'll talk about later. All right. I hear all these acronyms about rifles and all that, and one of them that concerns me is BUIS, backup iron sights. I try to keep my videos PG rated, but backup iron sights, your iron sight should be your primary sighting system, and this should be your backup or alternate sight. Only after you've mastered using a good peep sight should you move on to optics. If you can only shoot well at distance with optics, especially as a young man, interesting. If you can only shoot well with optics, that means when those optics go down, as a rifleman, your capability lessens. Yes, you can make better shots sometimes with a red dot. And yes, a scope, all things being equal, a scope rifleman will outshoot the iron sight rifleman with precision for the most part. But at the same time, iron sights will rule the world at some point, and you need to be damn good with those. And that, again, comes down to the U factor. How are you going to train? How much are you going to work to master your weapon? And while we're talking about weapons, or mastering the weapon, your knowledge and skills with this thing, what you know about it, your gunsmithing skills, your maintenance skills, how to operate it with right, left hands, all that sort of thing, how to maintain it in the field, how to do fairly sophisticated gunsmithing, because I built this rifle pretty much from just the parts, with knowledge, tools, and time. Your marksmanship ability. If you can't hit anything, your rifle's kind of useless, isn't it? And we were at one time in this nation a nation of riflemen, and we need to go back to doing that. Logistics. Once you've got the rifle, get a supply of magazines, get a supply of spare parts, get a supply of ammunition, get the things you need to maintain it. Then duplicate that. I'm just like your rifles, I'm just like I am with handguns. Duplicate that and store another set off-site. This is very important in my opinion with the semi-automatics, because the day may come when the raids come. And of course some of you with bigger balls are going to say, well, I'm just going to stand on my front porch and blaze away with it. Right, and you'll probably get killed. But I'm thinking they're going to strike while we're at work, while we're away, because they don't want to get in a fight, they want the weapons themselves. So they can break into my house, clean out my gun safe, get this rifle, but I'm going to have a spare, or 2 or 7, however many other, with gear and magazines and all the accessories I need to make it work. Another thing you need to consider is, I hunt with this rifle. So when it comes time to hunting, you might have seen these on here. I call this a 308 CB long after CCI 22 CB long. It's basically a 110 grain M1 carbine bullet loaded with a few grains, I'd have to look it up, a few grains of unique, and it makes a loud pop. I can use that to take small game, rabbits and squirrels and things like that. And that makes it very handy. I don't have to carry a 22 pistol in addition to my other pistol or one of my papooses or anything like that. It saves me a little weight, gives me a little bit more capability, because, yeah, 308 will tear up some game, but at the same time, you should be good enough with your rifle to bark a squirrel or something like that. Just saying, that's one of those old-timey redneck skills that people have kind of forgotten, that I think people should know. Again, we need to become a nation of riflemen. So, to recap, and check my list, semi-automatic, box magazine fed, detachable box magazine that is, military pattern, and 30 caliber. And have I made the best case for it? No. But this is the rifle I choose. This is the rifle I stick with. If I swapped rifles, I would still stick with the 30 caliber. I'd still stick with the 308 or the 7.62 at 51. However you want to say it. It doesn't matter if you run an FN, the Thal, an HK91, an M14, AR-10, whatever. It doesn't matter. Get yourself a 308. It does make the difference. You will pay more in money. You will pay more in weight. You'll pay more in pain, I guess, on the trail. But you know what? We can train for it because other people do. Now, do I value a lightweight system? Sure. Would I have an AR? Sure. I'll probably buy one this year. I have mags. I have ammo for it. I just don't currently own the rifle because it is a handy gun for some situations. But when things get deep or serious, this is the one I grab for. When I have to go after deer, this is the one I grab for. And honestly, you're not going to believe this, I hunt squirrels with this rifle with these rounds. I put my brass catcher on for the DSA mount. I load up 5 or 10 rounds in a 20-round mag because it's more reliable, and I use it as basically a bolt-action rifle. One pop, I cycle the action. One pop, I cycle the action. Take squirrels with it. You can do that with basically anything. Is it as practical as running around with a 22 that weighs half this? No, it's not. But it puts me out in the woods with my primary rifle, doing something practical. The more you use this rifle, the better you're going to be with it. It should be one with you. Ah, squirrel over there. All right, I hope you got something from this. And I realize it was a little bit choppy, but I wanted to do this sooner rather than later. And you guys take care. Hope this helps you out.